Okay, good morning. Welcome. This is our discussion segment on Good Morning Anambra. Today, Monday, the first working day of the week. How are you? I'm glad you're already seated, waiting for us to come up. Yeah, today, let's see what we'll have for you. Fuel subsidy removal, creating cost-cutting strategies. That's exactly what we're going to look at this morning. And I have gentlemen that have joined me this morning to look at that. They are Chukwunonso Ekesiobi. He's a lecturer, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu University, Ibariam. Good morning, Chukwunonso.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Okay. And I also have Obinna Jasi Nwa-Udolo, Chief Coach, Jasi Coaching Services. Good morning, Chief Coach.
Good morning, Anambra.
Okay, good to have you here. My name is Ijoma. And now that we're here, let's start talking fuel subsidy removal, creating cost-cutting strategies. A whole lot of things have happened since the removal of the fuel subsidy on the 29th of May 2023, when the incumbent president, Bola Tinubu, stood up on Inauguration Day to say fuel subsidy is removed, and he emphasized on that up to 3 times. Removed, finally, fuel subsidy is removed. Okay, and some of us thought it was a joke, and of course he has been running around since campaign, and you would have known that he's going to do this on the first day, so he would have put a lot of things in place to make sure that the effect of this fuel removal of subsidy is cushioned. And then we started looking at nothing. Before we know it, NMPC jumping, increased palm price to 520 or whatever. And then we were saying, okay, let's see how it plays out. When they see that it's not possible, they will come down eventually and see what to do. A few weeks after that, the thing jumped again from 500 to, is it 600 or whatever? I don't really understand. We have lost count of what's going on in this nation, because I just bought 617 this morning as I was coming to work. Okay, so I don't understand what's going on. And since then, like play, Nigerians will tell you in their usual plan, things started falling apart. Okay, we are even looking for the center, because in those days they say the center cannot hold. It's like there's no center at all. So it's not matter of whether the center is holding or it's not holding. So that's why we are here today, to see what we can do to, maybe when you have seen that the day is not abetting, the rain is falling since morning, it's not abetting, you have to go out to go and find what to eat. So you start looking for umbrella, looking for raincoat, looking for a whole lot of things to make sure that the rain will not keep beating you, because for the rain, it's already raining and it's not abating. Okay, I'm not laughing, I'm just trying to be strong. Okay, Sylvie. Let me start with you. So what do we do? I don't even know we have put up all the strategies and it's not working.
Well, I think the first solution, like you have just described for us, is to have a positive mindset about everything. You know, because before now, the mood in the country was more or less like, don't worry, when you wave, by the wave of hand, when the subsidy is removed, everything will fall into place and the economy will be better off for it. So we kept on shouting, remove subsidy, remove subsidy. That subsidy is a scam, is a cartel, is this, is that. So while that is true in the Nigerian sense, it's not always true, because you still need subsidies. You know, we have demonized subsidies in this country to make subsidies look as if it's a bad thing. But in our own context, subsidies are not necessarily bad. Even in developed countries, they subsidize a lot of things, minus energy. You subsidize education, you subsidize health, you subsidize transport. There are a lot of things that you need to come in to afford, a large number of the population come in to enjoy that particular commodity or that particular service. But the problem is that in our own case, so the subsidy process has been so contaminated that we think of everything subsidy like a crime or a crime scene. Same way we have demonized public debt, that when they say government is borrowing, it looks as if borrowing is bad. But you and I know that even as individuals, once in a while, we still look for ways to finance certain things ourselves outside our pocket. So that said, as the president, following from, to be fair to this government, following from what the government of the past administration, Buhari, they had already set in motion this plan of a subsidy removal. But I think the last time we were here, I only queried the way and manner it was, withdrawn. Abruptly, subsidy is gone. Like you said, subsidy is removed. So you did not think about the market reactions, the economic reaction, how people will take such kind of pronouncements, unthought. I felt it was not clearly thought out, because now we, by placing the cart before the horse, we are supposed to have thought of what to do, about the consequences of the subsidy removal and how to tackle it before actually removing the subsidy. But now you see that we have removed the subsidy, and now that there is fire on the mountain, or like you said, things are falling apart, you see the government now trying to struggle to see if it can, find a way to strike a balance between removing subsidies and cushioning the effect of subsidies. In fact, I think the pain got so much, with the rioting, crisis, protests, that the president had to come and address the nation outside the normal period they usually address us during Democracy Day and independence, to show you that something is wrong. So in this case, I just felt that we would have thought it through before we came out with the subsidy implementation policy. Now, you can see that the solution they are putting forward is not yet clear-cut. Try and error. They talked of palliative. Later, they said no. The social register of the former government was polluted, that they can't use it.
Did they say no? No, I think they have dished out the palliative, but it's for the legislatures.
That's what I'm coming No, I'm talking of the palliative that will affect the common Nigerian. So you see that they said they will now move to state government registers. They will do this, they will do that. You can see that there is no clear coordination. Thank God that we've had this ministerial nomination and the rest. So I'll be looking forward to see those who will be managing the economy, the Ministry of Finance, planning, budgeting, all those stuff. So these are areas where we need serious intervention, especially now that we are talking about this humanitarian intervention. I want to see how, the next Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, if the ministry will be retained anyway, will come in to, sustain the agenda of how we can improve the quality of life of Nigerians in this trying situation.
Okay. How we can improve the quality of Nigerians? That's if they are cut out to improve the quality of life of Nigerians. You remove subsidy, and it's generating a lot of hardship on the people. And instead of looking for a way to cushion it, you are applying more salt to the injury. Just recently, Justy, we heard that the school fees has been increased in the federal institutions, okay? Starting from the secondary school, federal, the unity schools, and a whole lot of other things.
It's not that you heard, it has been increased.
So is it the way they cushion the effect of oil subsidy? I'm coming to you, Justy. So it's like they don't have, they want to continue. They don't have any plans at all.
Well, if it's only school fees, I think it's even better. Recently, if you have received your NEPA bill, you also know that NEPA have also increased by 200%.
Oh, gosh.
Because where I used to pay 120-something thousand, what they bought for me on Friday was 350-something thousand, which to me, even with the price of fuel, I will not be able to burn up to that amount of money. So generally, it's affecting everything. They are actually acting on everything that will affect the common man, generally. But to me, what we're looking at is how a common man will survive. That's what we are looking at. What are the strategies? What do we need to do for us to survive? And I appreciate what my brother said. Number one, you need to have a positive mind towards it. Just understand that you survive. I remember when I posted something about the new price of fuel. Some people said if government won't let them sell 2,000, we will survive. That's actually the spirit that we want at a time like this.
But are we surviving?
The thing there is you need to
Well,
have a
also, a
positive.
lot of people are dying. People go to bed without food.
That's why we're advising them, number one, to have a positive mind towards
Positive mind when there's
Yes.
nothing to be positive about.
If you have a government that is not ready to look at your face, what will you do?
Get a mirror and start looking at
You
your
just have to look at
Directly.
yourself. Exactly.
Directly.
Then also another thing is at a time like this, we also need to take away pride. Because sometimes the way you used to live before, if you want to maintain that status quo, you find out that it's going to be pinching you a lot. So at a time like this, we need to make adjustments. Everybody needs to understand that things is no longer the way it used to be. You understand? If you used to make a budget of 10,000 for fuel in a month or for a week, you know that 10,000 naira cannot do that for you in a week any longer. And for you to be able to add up to that, you need to look for where to get it. Because everything that's happening in the country did not affect your own income. You understand? So at a time like this, everyone needs to take away pride and start looking for how to manage ourselves and have a kind of try as much as possible to anything you know you need to take step on. Take step, don't minding what people will say. I believe that every one of us is feeling the same pain. So anyone that sees you, if you are driving a big car today and you decided to drive a small car tomorrow, everybody understands the way the country is and knows why you decided to buy. Because some people are already trekking, some people are using transport. And recently I decided to use transport one time. I found out that it's not even cheap.
It's not cheap.
Transport is not even cheap too.
Less convenient.
So
It's less convenient.
exactly. So we need to be able to make some adjustments and try as much as possible. Then also, anything we are spending on right now should be based on scale of preference. You understand? There are some things you used to spend on before because you feel you can actually spend on them. If it's something you know you can actually do away with, this is a time to do away with it.
Let's go practical. Let's name them.
Okay, all of us have.
At least you can do with one bottle of beer a day, and then
That's
you're
for
using
those
the other one
that-
if you are used to taking 3.
That's for those.
Let's
that's
go
for those
practical.
Actually, most times people that take beer are people that want to relax. Sometimes they don't really take it because they are enjoying it. Or sometimes after a stressful day, they want to relax with it. But like you said, if you used to take 3, you take 1. But sometimes it's the system that will determine if you can be able to take 1.
Not your pocket this
Not
time.
your pocket.
That
Because
is the problem.
when you take that one, it will look as if you've not gauged and you need to add up. Do you understand? But basically what we are saying is sometimes the pocket will also let you know that, man, even though you want to relax, there's other ways to relax without taking beer. So there are other ways you can actually relax without spending money. And so these are the things we need to look at. Also, all of us are family men, and if we get back to our various homes, we know the way we make our provisions. Then another thing, if I recently started looking at my compound, I realized I have a lot of space where I can start planting things too. I just started seeing that all the while I've not been seeing it, but recently I started seeing that I have space that I can so plant some things that can, if we have those things, it also reduce cost.
You won't buy
Before
them.
we used to buy them, then it reduce cost. And I also realized that some things I'm even buying in town now, we have them in the village. You understand? So this is a time your antenna should be open to possibilities. Then also, there's nothing also stops you from thinking on how to add up small income to what is coming in. Even if it's 10,000 or 20,000, you can solve one thing or the other. And so there are other ways, there are things that you can as well do with what you have available at your disposal to add little income to yourself. So we need to start beginning to look at those directions. It's just like the way we have our phone. We use our status to post our pictures and other things. There are some things that if you come close to, apart from your career, there are some things that you understand well, even though it's not something you are into. There are people that like cars very well, in as much as they don't sell cars. But you can actually take advantage of that because one thing about marketing is being able to convince the person that wants to buy it. And being able to convince the person that wants to buy it is understanding what that thing is all about very well. Like someone like me cannot sell a car. You understand? Because even the car I'm driving, I don't even know the year that it is. You understand? But there are things that I have flair for. There are people that like looking good. You can decide to, even if you don't, even are not the one making it, you can identify with people that make it and decide to utilize your space to market it. You know, somehow, there is no how you put it up for 1 month. You don't see 1 or 2 persons that will say, well, I like this. Can I get it from you? So we need to start looking, in as much as we are looking for how to cut costs, we also need to look at how we can take advantage of the platforms we have to be able to generate, no matter how little. Then also make a use of some of the things you've been ignoring.
Hey, you know, these days, this online business and whatever, you know, buying of clothes and all that, people are saying that you don't even have enough money to eat. That most of the time they spend their data to, you know, to do all these things and nobody is talking to them again. Even though the people that will always ask them, how much is this and this, and nobody asks again because you don't even have enough to eat with. And you are buying clothes or buying some other things that you have in the house. So as it is in your house, that's the same way it is in the next person's house and a whole lot of things.
But if you go to our status today, you still see pictures there.
Okay.
And people still post. And funny enough, most times what we post these days on our status are things that will make people happy. You know, when you see one funny stuff, you decide to post
So instead of, you know, always doing that, why not,
why
you know,
not just
commercialize
use
it?
for
I get your point. Yes, take it, Subi. Is it just us? I know for us in the family, if you say you don't want to make adjustments, you're on your own. Because somebody was saying the other day, I overheard one motivational speaker, that people eat 3 times because your mind has been conditioned that you eat 3 times. Otherwise, that you can survive on 1 meal a day. You can survive on 1 or 2, okay? So based on how much you can afford. That's just what the man is saying. And I tried it on Saturday. Man.
As you go.
So what do we do? Okay, apart from what we do in our families, let's step out. What can the government do to the people to cushion this effect? What kind of strategies are they going to bring out? Okay.
You are
in the school system.
Yeah.
What can the school do? Is it just increasing and increasing and increasing and then all this, what do you call it, stamp papers, handouts and a whole lot of things? You know, is that not, can't you teach the children and ask them to take notes instead of paying for handouts, you know? Strategy, that's what we're saying.
I think I will come from the government side down to the individual, the school side, like you mentioned.
Okay.
I think the government has a lot to do because it's one thing to admit that there are savings that have been made from these subsidy payments that have been withdrawn. I think over $1 trillion, going to 2 trillion. But the government, in its wisdom, have decided to share, I think, about 900 billion or so of that amount and keep some. And I understand why they want to do that, because injecting that whole money into the economy will only add to the inflationary crisis we have. Because pumping in money without necessarily improving
money
productivity, not necessarily ammunition, infrastructure, as it were. But as it is now, there are a lot of things the government can do. One is to invest in mass transportation to help, you know, cushion this effect, so that a large chunk of the monies people earn does not go to transportation. Because nowadays, when people remove the cost of leaving home and coming back, you know, to work and coming back, you know, it eats a large chunk of their income. So remember that if you devote a large sum of your money, your income to transportation, what then will you have to enjoy other things of life? That's one. So you have to look at how to come in. I think in his address, he talked about giving how many billion so that we can have 3,000 buses and so on and so forth. So that's a way to start. Then I think we need to upscale, you know, investments in railway projects so that we can move people and move goods and services easily. Then again, we need to start talking about, you know, cutting down inefficiencies in terms of fuel distribution in the country. Those things that will encourage smuggling within and outside the country. I think your last guest talked about the porous nature of our borders. Those things that will make, because it was obvious that when subsidy was removed in Nigeria, people in Niger and Chad, they felt the impact. Why would they feel the impact? Because they have been living, you know, rent-free. They have been living off our magnanimity, as it were. So we need to cut all those things, all those leakages, all those places where inefficiencies creep up that will affect the distribution and the entire supply chain of these refined products. It's unfortunate that as a country today, we don't know the actual number of what we consume as fuel. It's very pathetic. So you find out that if we manage these things properly, we know how much we have been losing all this while. And not just losing in terms of the crude, in terms of revenue as well. What government is supposed to do, how is he doing it? Look at the political will. This is not the time where militants I don't want to call them militants, but people that have been contracted to monitor our shorelines and our waterways, caught a vessel loaded with stolen crude, only for them to find that that vessel was protected by naval officers. So you can see those kind of. So we need to cut down all those these things. Then again, we need to begin to look at how we promote alternative energy sources. Nowadays, technological innovations have made it possible that you can get a small household of maybe 4 can have just these mobile solar installations that they can use for lighting and charging of their phones and the rest of them. How we can strengthen agencies like these people, they are doing a very good job. The Rural Electrification Agency of the government. How do we take this power into those places and see how we can lessen the cost of this thing? Then again, we need to promote energy efficiency awareness and technologies so that people don't spend enough, people don't spend more than, what they are supposed to spend on power. Like my colleague here was saying that, the cost of electricity in his firm. So these are our discos, gencos, transcos, and whatnot. How are they trying to educate, electricity users on better ways or cheaper ways of consuming power? How do you use energy efficient appliances? Instead of buying so and so wattage of bulb, buy this one. Instead of buying so energy televisions, buy this one. Buy inverter ACs, buy this, buy that. So those things that we cut down on their energy costs. We need to, again, diversify our energy mix. Our energy mix is such that if we depend mostly on crude, we need to find a way of moving away from crude. The world, as we know it today, is talking about energy transition, moving to renewable energies, cleaner energies. So what are we doing so that these deadlines most countries are giving themselves, that by 2030, 2040, that they will move away from fuel and all these fossil fuels and all the rest? What are we doing to get ourselves ready for that? Look at, we have natural gas. And natural gas is termed a transition fuel. We have it in abundance, even more than we have crude oil. What are we doing in that space? About 70% of our gas is exported. We can only process about 30% in the country. Why are we not using? Thank God, the government is trying to make efforts to see that we begin to migrate towards, for instance, compressed natural gas vehicles. So we'll be running vehicles on gas. Then you are saying that it is becoming more trendy now that people are running their generators on gas because they feel that gas is cheaper than fuel. So we need to populate that space. We need to invest seriously in that space. Then coming to households, like you said.
No, to school first.
Okay, to school. Okay, to the school. Well, you see, that's why universities are always clamoring for, the full implementation of what we call university autonomy. You cannot, on the one hand, say universities have autonomy, and on the other hand, you will be inhibiting or be obstructing, their operations. It's so unfortunate that we have this kind of situation. Like as a person now, for instance, you mentioned the handouts and the rest of this, so I felt that one just moved me. As a person, I always try, for instance, there are situations where, something that will make us, to reduce the physical contact we have with students, especially in public schools, is a serious challenge. It is not a must that every time we are to meet students, it must be physical, because these students also spend money coming to school. I know those in Oka, at least they may be enjoying because the university is situated within the capital. If you come across a barrier when the school is in the middle of nowhere, that's for you to come to school and go back to wherever you are coming from. The average student spends now almost up to 900, 1,000. So for that every day. So there are some contacts, there are some communication that we can leverage technology. Thank God, COVID made Zoom and all this Google Meet, all these other digital platforms possible. We can use that.
Virtual lecture.
Yes, virtual lecture, yes. Yeah, with a good Android phone of maybe 12,000 second hand, you can access most of these things. For instance, personally, I developed this thing of whenever I teach, after the teaching, instead of giving them, okay, you can go and access this in or photocopying or this thing, I just send it to them in soft copy. You can read it on your phone in the comfort of anywhere you can. So we need to be looking at ways of how to,
cut
costs across board. So that's why I was coming to the household. They pushed me to school. Like
that school is very important to us.
They say the household there.
Yeah.
Why that one is important is that in Nigeria now, you see that before this subsidy crisis and this hardship came about, we already had a poverty challenge where majority of Nigerians, I think that was over 133 million, they said was multidimensionally poor. So multidimensional poverty looks at poverty across different sectors, spectrums, education, health, income, nutrition, and so on and so forth. So if we are already having that challenge and this subsidy crisis came in and increased the cost of living, we know that before now, majority of Nigerians spend a large chunk of their income on feeding. Now you have added transport to it. You have added fuel to it. So what then do they have, to eat 3 square meal like you are talking about? Anybody that takes 3 square meal now is having a luxury, as it were. Yes. So those people I think, as far as cost-cutting strategies are concerned, I think on the household and the individual level, we need to start looking at, like he mentioned, if you are driving a 6-cylinder engine vehicle or an 8-cylinder engine vehicle, you don't need anybody to tell you that it's time to pack them up. And look for
use what? Okay.
Energy-saving vehicles now, that fuels that are more efficient.
You go and buy a car now, or you sell that one.
You will sell that one, obviously.
Who wants to buy 6-cylinder when everybody wants to dispose 6-cylinder?
You will find a way of disposing that one.
There is someone that one will be his own level. There is someone that one will be his own level.
So you will get a 4-cylinder. You go and look for a 4-cylinder vehicle. I have a colleague who has a 6-cylinder vehicle. As soon as the thing came up, just like, I don't think that should be up to 4-cylinder. And he now tells me that, okay, that he doesn't spend more than 25,000 to fill the tank of that vehicle. And it lasts him for 2 weeks, going to Ibariam and back.
Really?
Yes. So it's a very small car, just like all this Golf. Yes. So everybody, then again,
2 weeks, 25,000.
Some people have become so creative, like they go on with ride sharing. For instance, I know people who work at our Ole campus from Oka. They move from Oka. So instead of going with their individual cars, what they do is that they converge on this person and say, oh yeah, this week you will be the one who will be bearing the cost. Yes, and the person brings out his car. Everybody, the 4 of them joins the car to school and back. So you see that you don't need anybody to tell you that these are times that we need to be creative.
If I change, I'm telling you. I'm coming back to you, Justin. Kedu Imana, this oil subsidy thing, I don't know how to start looking at it. It does appear that the end is not in sight. Okay, the end of the problem that he has created, because it's still creating. Okay, when you think, we are thinking of, let's see, maybe in a few weeks' time, this will fizzle away, or there will be a solution or this and that, and nothing seems to be coming up. Okay, and then when you go to church, and I say again, I want to first think, I get put in the first year fit as this church, and I got a new one. And this church does not fit this community again. We're going to build a new one. Then the school within the churches, go I to touch our well, and they increase over to the extent so let's look at that angle too. What do we do Okay, so see the menka. How would the religious bodies or the religious institution help in cutting costs on this period that we are in now? You're not a reverend.
nke akwa ira ka mụ na Chukwu. Because all Chukwu ka ịghọtara na-enye. So anyway, the thing there is to me, the church on their own part, I'm sure that everyone has their own responsibility. And before now, the money the church members bring is what is helping them to also keep the church running. So they will not wake up and say because the way things is bad, so don't even give offering, don't give tithe. They also have priests they have to pay. They also have things they have to maintain. But at the same time, is now we, the church members, we only do what we know we can do. Whatever you know you can do, you do. If you are paying tithe, and you understand what tithe is, and they say this amount you're supposed to pay, and you feel you can pay, you go ahead and pay.
So apart from the tithe and the offering, like you have said, those ones, you can't take it away from anybody. What about other areas where they can help to subsidize, especially in their schools? The schools that were built by the churches with the tithes we've been paying over the years and the offering they've collected from us over the years, why can't they subsidize those schools so that the children of the women that clean the churches, that, you know, are members of those churches, can afford to go to that school?
Well, in terms of the schools, the truth is, if you want to look at it that way, they cannot subsidize it that much. And because if you look at it, if you come close, you also find out that they've subsidized it. Because if you compare some of these missionary,
are more expensive
if you consider some of these missionary schools to other private schools, you see that the churches are really doing something. You understand? But the only thing we'll say is this: there are some members, at least church needs to start giving some members scholarship. The children of some members scholarship. You know, they should have a program like that. I know one Catholic church in Abuja that once you pass their entrance exam, they have 3 weeks of screening for the entrance exam. Once you pass it, nothing will stop you from graduating in that school, even if your parents don't have the money. Instead, they will allow you to pay over a space of time. After they must have cut down, they've given you like maybe 50% scholarship. So I wouldn't stay here to say what churches are doing, because we have different churches and we may not know the approach. If it's a politician that is doing something now, he will come out and announce to us that I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But churches may be doing something and they will not announce it.
They will not
and
announce.
we on our own part will be making assumptions that, okay, this is what it is or what is not. So to me, I know that some schools, you know, we in this place sometimes we feel, because we feel that, okay, it is church members' money that they use in setting up the school. So sometimes we feel that they are not doing enough. But I'm not here to decide that, because I'm not there. I'm not part of them that run the expenses in the school to know whether they are doing enough or they are not doing enough.
Okay, you're excused. Okay, let me come back to, we are looking at
but
the way to
I actually want to, in the part of government, I feel there are a lot of things my brother said concerning what government can do, but I think there's a primary thing government needs to do. And the primary thing government needs to do, now they remove subsidy and we are selling fuel for 600 and something. Why is it so? They say it's because of that's the market price, the cost of importing the fuel and other things. So if that is the case, now the raw material for refining fuel, we have everything in this country. So I think the major thing government needs to do before you start looking at some of the things you need to do and all those things is to find a way to make our refineries work. Because if our refineries are working and you're refining in this country, I don't see how you'll be using the global market price to sell this. I start considering how much you use in importing before you can be able to sell. Because everything is here with you. If you get the raw material here and refine it here, that means there is no other expenses you are doing apart from logistics or distributing it to different...
the president said that the Port Harcourt refinery will start working by December. Have you heard?
Okay, we hope so.
Okay, you hope so.
We hope so, because they told us the one that they commissioned the other time.
That of the Dangote.
And now recently we are now told that it will start functioning 2015.
2024.
2024, sorry.
Okay, we keep moving. We just have to continue. We have no choice than to continue. Okay, so let's get to individual Ndiodogu Simon Oboda. I know that when was that? During the 2020 COVID era, we had a very big challenge of people staying at home, not going out to fetch what they will eat and a whole lot of things. And then that's when we started hearing of palliatives, okay, that was supposed to come from the government, but we heard that maybe some of them packed their own for election. But individually, people came up to start sharing things to people to make ends meet. Now, do you think that what we're facing now is not worse than what we faced in 2020 when there was this coronavirus lockdown? Okay? So what do you expect our people to do, especially people that can take care of their own problems and then still look out? Because if we are complaining here, there are people that don't complain. I was at the filling station yesterday to pick fuel while coming to work, and then the person I was following on the line was taking a whole lot of time. I said, what is going on? When you can have a food tank now, move on, can buy fuel. Food tank and see when he was you know kind of thing. So when they can have a food tank. So no food tank. We go madam 5,000 naira. So how do we do it? How do we encourage our people? If I am a court when do say a court. By the time you cut to your 3 square meter to 2. Cut 1 to 1. The next thing is say cut to your life. You go so can if I get make I'm waking your own madaka.
Well, like you said, I want to look at the situation now and then is quite different, because if you are following, market trends and the economic happenings, you will see that many companies in Nigeria are folding up. They are finding it hard. Some are relocating. The forex challenge, this exchange rate after the unification, have made most companies begin to incur huge losses that is running into billions and millions. So you find that most companies are now finding a way to stay afloat. So I personally, any company that is into any humanitarian intervention as the economy is, they need to be seriously commended, because most companies in the country are not finding it easy. Remember, it is not only the NLC that is looking for improved working condition. Staff, those people who are working for private individuals, even to the extent of sales girls, sales boys, everybody's looking for a raise. And where will their managers get this raise? So they will have to take care of their own private costs before they begin to look at social costs. Social costs, that kind of intervention in terms of catering for social costs are necessary. But we need to understand that in this short term, in fact, Dangote as a person itself has lost over, I think, close to over 3 billion. And we are talking about net worth of most of these companies. Everybody was discussing the other day that GlaxoSmithKline said they are packing up, and the rest of them. So a lot of companies are finding it difficult. So in fact, most companies themselves are in need of this palliative. Yes. The government needs to come in to look at
not just the companies. What about the individuals? After all, that this money that is being squeezed here and there that we don't get to see is entering some people's purse, like the people that is in the oil industry, that the cost of the fuel could be around 200 and something naira, and they're selling it at 600, and they're making a whole lot of money. Are they not supposed to be helping people? If not, people from their village.
That's an assumption.
You see, that's an assumption. And let us not forget that most of these companies,
we have analyzed the cost of production.
Let's not forget that most of these companies already, they have corporate social investment responsibilities that they are taking care of at the moment. Yes. So, but that's why I said that it still boils down. How do we make it? Is not just the individuals now, businesses. How do we give them a break so that they can breathe, so we will not suffocate them, as the president used to say? How do we give concessions to those who are running businesses, so that in this trying time, they can continue to exist and pay the people that are working for them first. Then before they start looking for ways of, distributing, these resources. I had a conversation with a priest friend of mine, and I told him, like when you mentioned the church response, and I told him that, look, I think it's high time, churches begin to encourage, at the grassroots level, especially in rural areas, grassroots level, ways of encouraging, market women, for instance, to take things like cooperatives seriously. So that these cooperatives, when they come together, that synergy they will be able to build, no matter how petty it may look, they can be able to pull funds together and be able to be achieving collective objectives.
Buying things in bulk.
Yeah. For instance, as a lecturer, we have our own cooperative at Iwarium, such that within the space of 2-3 years now, I can conveniently go and take a loan of 3 million from that same cooperative where almost everybody maybe puts 5,000, 10,000 a month. You take 3 million at the rate of 8%, something that no commercial bank can give you less than 20%. So everybody, this is where we now need to be, building, societies, social institutions. Not necessarily when we come to church, you give offering, they say, whenever those that are hungry, come and eat. No.
The churches have microfinance banks.
No, that's why I'm saying that the microfinance banks should not just serve as a financial framework for the church finance alone. It should look for a way of bringing these people together. If you have parishioners, like I mentioned, market women, those who are farmers, those who are this, encourage them so that when they come together as an institution, mind you, they can be able to leverage most of these federal government or these government institutions. Imagine a situation where, through our cooperative, for instance, we have been able to start partnering with the Federal Mortgage Bank so that they can give mortgage finances to us. But if you go there as an individual, nobody will listen to you. So the same thing with this local cooperative. They can meet the Bank of Agriculture, Development Bank, Bank of Industry, everybody coming in so that we can, make this effort collective.
Okay, thank you very much. We're not enough. Jesse, what's your advice to our people as we are looking for a way of cutting costs? How do we cut costs, to ensure that we survive this situation that we're in?
Well, the thing there is everybody knows their own pockets. That's the most important thing. Try as much as possible to work around what you have, especially when you know there is no other place you are going to get from. Because being alive in a time like this is more important than trying to use pride to cover up a lot of things. Because over time it will still show. Because before you know it, that person will start withdrawing. And by the time you start withdrawing, depression comes in. So the advice is, whatever you have, try to work around it. Sit down, make a drawing table, and find a way to manage what you have. And make your spending to be on a scale of preference. Know the one you need to spend more on. It's even more difficult for people now, parents that have kids, and people that even have new baby. Our own time, we used to buy Pampers every time, but you should start thinking of an alternative way, because during our own time, our parents were using napkin. If it means going back to napkin, it's not a problem. Whatever people want to say, let them say. I remember during my own time, I got to a time when I had to tell my wife, we have to use Pampers only when we are going out. So find a way to cut down your costs. Whatever thing you can take away, take it away. Whatever thing you can cut down on. And whatever thing you can take advantage of, take advantage of. The thing there that all of us have to survive this time, and also hope on the government that government does something that over time things will become better.
Did you also tell her to cut down on Ashebi and all those? I wonder why nobody has gone to that one.
She's not even Ashebi.
No, funny enough, I've taken that decision personally.
I love her. She's my friend.
Each year,
but that's where we have problem with women. Okay, men are Ashebi too. But come wipe.
Each year, my aquaketa nyegi di ego aqua nyegi tiekwe ego mobile ego sigijide because ego meji kwa di aqua the rest. You just hit another point.
What is this? This we're looking at way, cutting strategies to cut costs. Okay? And then if I a whole lot of things. We just have to cut down. You know, there's something that you mentioned, Jesse. Forget this ego. Forget it. Or casting again, no, but when the feeble, or if like the special, you're not the same level now. Nobody's breathing. Oh, you're not suffocate. Only you can job in the channel hand will ego because they want to maintain status quo. Give one of banana. So that's what to get make any meaning. If you want to go no on the quarter, na astro guy like what to have. Oh, how about the problem now? So no ego. We forget the same level. Everybody is suffocating. Just be looking for a way. Big 18 mega outside. You want to go. Breathe. Oxygen. Oxygen. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been a very interesting one with my guys in the house. Obinna Jasi Kwapudolu, Chief Coach, Jasi Coaching Services. Thank you for coming, Obinna.
Thank you.
And then Nonso Ekesiobi, lecturer Chukwu Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University in Mariam. Thank you very much for coming.
It's a pleasure.
Are you a prof?
No.
No, I need to ask you because that's what my daughter asked me when she watched the last program I had with you, and she asked me, "Mom, is he a professor?" I said no. I said that he looks like a professor.
Not coming professor.
So is he well? He has to.
VC Mariam, take note.
No, it has to.
Yeah, just have to because he said, "Mom, you don't talk any professor now. He looks like one." So we just have to be one. Thank you very much. Thank you, camera guys. Thank you, the ops directors and everybody that made it happen today, the producer Ify and a whole lot of people in the house. Thank you very much. My name is Sijama. God will keep us alive, and then we will see a little way to breathe and then come back tomorrow and start from where we start. God bless you.